Things you should know this morning. This is your weekly reminder. Please check the back of the bulletin. There's a bunch of great stuff listed there for this week. If you like a monthly calendar, they are available out at the welcome desk. Please silence your phones or any other electronics as we get ready to enter into sacred space. And remember that this service, like all services here, is being live streamed. So it is conceivable your gorgeous face could be caught on camera. This week at 11:30, right after the service, or whenever in the heck I get over there, we are going to be having a Pathways class, Pathway to Membership. If you have been circling the drain and considering membership, come on over. It's okay, even if you didn't sign up. Marty here, raise a hand, Marty. Marty is the person you want to see right after the service if you're going to try to come over. But if you've been thinking about signing the book, come on over and find out all about us, about the denomination. Ask any questions. We'd love to see you there. We light this chalice for the welcome that is more than words, for doors that can be entered and voices that can be heard, for spaces that can be shared and communities shaped with every body and every mind in view. Good morning and welcome to UCOV, the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Venice. Whether you're here in person or joining us by Zoom from somewhere else, whether entering this space is easy for you or requires careful planning, whether your needs are visible or known only to you, we're glad you're here. Today we're talking about what it means to truly call a community accessible. You hear phrases all the time like ADA compliant, handicapped friendly, or full access. But a sign, a policy, or a good intention doesn't always tell us what a person will actually experience. Can everyone actually enter and participate? Can everyone see and understand and move through the space and take part without having to explain themselves first or ask for some kind of special help or permission? It's a good question. And when someone does encounter a barrier, do we treat it as a personal problem or a responsibility that we all share? Now, this service isn't about getting it perfect. It's about paying attention and listening and examining our habits and being honest about the difference between saying everyone is welcome and making it possible. All of our differences aren't interruptions to our community. They're part of our community. And I want to say up front, we do a pretty darn decent job at this. It sure helps to be a community that is primarily over 50. Because we get that bodies change. We get that it's not as easy to do some things as when we were 22. So we're not too darn bad at this stuff. But our denomination isn't perfect at it yet. So welcome to this time of worship and this conversation, and welcome in all the ways you've come and all of who you are. Thank you, Lisa. You know, living with disability makes you notice. It forces you to notice things that other people may not see. How many of you pay attention to whether or not there are steps? I know I do. We notice accessibility entrances. We notice things like everybody being told to stand, not given any alternatives, and then looked at funny if they don't get up. We notice when somebody says, oh, just ask for help. Somebody will help you. And you learn that there's a profound difference between being helped into a space and being actually welcomed into it, where you can come and go as you please. And help can be warm and loving and wonderful. We all need help sometimes. I'm deeply grateful for every person that holds a door like Donna did for us this morning, for every person who moves obstacles or repeats what I didn't hear, who helps navigate a world that's not always built with a particular handicap in mind. But disabled people shouldn't have to depend over and over and over on somebody being available and attentive and friendly enough or strong enough or in a good enough mood to help them out. Dignity should not depend on finding the right person to ask for anything. And nobody should have to audition for access. I'm sure you've all heard at different times stories where somebody with a disability placard got yelled at because they didn't look disabled. One hysterical story I read just the other week, a 16-year-old young man was screamed at here in Florida because he had parked in a handicap accessibility space. And he came walking out of the store, 16, got his baseball cap on, and the woman screamed at him. I mean, people were filming. He didn't say anything. He calmly stepped aside, reached down, pulled up his pants leg, yanked off his artificial leg, and handed it to her and said, "Now what?" She slunk away very quickly. She handed him his leg back first. So we're going to talk about barriers today and assumptions and start a dialogue, because we all want to be able to do everything that we possibly can with this congregation. And if there's anything stopping any of us from doing the things, we want to fix it. May our time together today help us to better create a community where nobody has to struggle for the right to enter, participate, lead, or belong. So come and let us worship here together. Please rise in body or spirit as you will and join in singing our opening hymn, number 1053, How Could Anyone? We're going to sing it through twice. It's a short one. This is the time in our service when we do our offering, and we always do it with a joke to make the pain feel a little less painful. A local Presbyterian church called a meeting to decide what to do about their sudden squirrel infestation. After much prayer and consideration, they concluded that the squirrels were predestined to be there, and they should not interfere with God's divine will. At the Baptist church, the squirrels had taken an interest in the baptismal pool. And the deacons met and they decided, we will put a water slide in the pool and they will drown. The squirrels loved the slide and they learned how to swim quickly, and twice as many squirrels showed up the following week. The Lutheran Church decided that they were not in a position to harm any of God's creatures, so they humanely trapped the squirrels and set them free in the Baptist Church. 2 weeks later, the squirrels were back when the Baptists took down the water slide. The Episcopalians took a much more unique approach. They set out pans of whiskey all around the church and said, we'll kill them with alcohol poisoning. They learned, sadly, how much damage a bunch of drunk squirrels can do. The Unitarian Church came up with a much more creative strategy. They sent all the squirrels to Pathways, signed them up to the book, gave them pledge cards. They never saw them again. And you know, not much was heard from the synagogue. They welcomed the very first squirrel and sent him to be circumcised. They haven't seen a single squirrel since. The morning offering will now be given and gratefully received. Thank you all so much for these gifts and for everything you do week after week to keep this community moving along. You are so appreciated. It's as a community of human hands and human hearts that we come here together to struggle with life's sorrows and celebrate life's joy. So if you have something you want to share this week, please raise a hand and Tony will bring you a microphone. Please hold the microphone up and close to your mouth.
Like that.
Got one in the back.
Well, today I'm celebrating the publication of the book on the Underground Railroad called The Wheel. I finally have some hard copies in my hand so I can show people. If you want to know more about the Wheel or the Underground Railroad in Massachusetts, look me up.
May the love of this community hold everyone who needs love and concern. May the light of our community shine on the broken places of the world. May those who are grieving be comforted and those who are tired find rest. May the broken places be healed, and may those who are filled with joy and laughter be abundant. The words of our meditation today come from Lawrence Carter Long, who pulls no punches. Gotta say, I'm seeing a lot of woo-woo disability awareness stuff out here these days. This ain't the occasion, kids. July is Disability Pride Month. Allow me to explain. Disability awareness is knowing that disabled people exist. Disability pride is understanding that we are not here merely to broaden your perspective, test your tolerance, or make your annual panel more interesting. Awareness can be practiced at a comfortable distance. Pride requires proximity, participation, and brace yourself, disabled people setting the terms. Awareness observes and pride belongs. Commit that to memory. Thanks. With these words in mind, please join me in a moment of thought, meditation, or prayer. Our reading today is an excerpt from an open letter to the UUA, Disability, Justice, Economic Reality, and the Future of General Assembly by Amari S. Nguyen Cariatis. Now, I'll tell you up front, we do not have a good track record as a denomination of doing extremely accessible General Assemblies. And this is what the writer says: access is not negotiable. To the leadership of the Unitarian Universalist Association, I am writing as a disabled Unitarian Universalist living with economic disadvantage, someone who wants deeply to participate in the shared spiritual and democratic life of our faith. This week, I received your invitation to the 2026 General Assembly, a soft, pink, hopeful, beautifully designed email urging me to register today and meet the moment together everywhere. I want to meet the moment. But I also need to tell the truth about the moment I am actually living in. Because when I read this invitation through the lens of disability justice, a framework rooted in access, interdependence, and collective liberation, the gap between the message and the lived reality becomes impossible to ignore. The cost of belonging cannot be a barrier to belonging. The invitation encourages early registration to lock in the current rate. That rate is $350 for online participation. Caregivers and low-income members, it rises to $450 after April 30th. For many disabled UUs, caregivers and low-income members, these numbers are not prices, they are complete barriers. Economic justice is disability justice. A registration fee that excludes disabled people isn't equitable, no matter how evenly it's applied. Universal registration is framed as fairness, but fairness without economic access is not fair. It's gatekeeping dressed in covenantal language. The HUVA program is not accessible, and disabled UUs have said so for years. HUVA is the computer app or the phone app that you use to access the online GA programming. The invitation describes HUVA as the central hub for GA content. For many disabled participants, HUVA's not a hub, it's a wall. Disabled UUs have documented inconsistent screen reader compatibility, poor keyboard navigation, unreliable captioning, cognitive overload by the shapes flashing at them, inaccessible networking features, technology that's not accessible simply because it's digital. Disability justice requires centering lived experience in platform selection, not retrofitting access after the fact. Partial access is not access. The invitation lists ASL for major events, human captioning for some sessions, automated captioning for others. This is not full access, this is triage. Automated captions are not equitable. Some sessions is not enough. Access cannot depend on which workshop a disabled person chooses or which events the UUA prioritizes. Access isn't a line item, it's a covenant. Safety protocols must be real and not symbolic. The invitation requires masking and distancing for in-person participation. Now, as a disabled person, I appreciate the intention, but I know how often these rules are ignored, unenforced, or treated as just optional. Disabled people are asked to trust systems that have not earned that trust. Together Everywhere must include disabled people everywhere. The only free access offered is live streams of worship and general sessions, the least interactive parts of GA, the part where disabled voices are least likely to be heard. If GA is truly together everywhere, then disabled people must be able to participate fully and not just watch from the margins. Belonging can't be paywalled and community can't be conditional. And I'm writing this not because I want to walk away from GA, but because I want to walk into it fully and safely and without having to fight for every inch of access. I care about this faith. I care about our shared work. I care about the possibility of a GA that truly embodies our values. I want to say yes to GA 2026. But I cannot say yes to a system that treats accessibility as optional and economic justice as an afterthought. If the UUA wants a truly shared GA journey, it has to build a path disabled and economically disadvantaged UUs can actually walk. Access is not charity. Access is not extra. Access is not negotiable. Access is covenant. Access is justice. Access is love made real, and we deserve nothing less. Please rise in body or spirit as you will and join in singing number 1007, There's a River Flowing in My Soul. A few years ago, GA was in New Orleans, Louisiana. For those of you who don't know, GA is General Assembly. It's when all our congregations come together and we vote on the business of our association. And we have a lot of fun, and there are classes and there are vendors. It's a lovely time. It's also expensive. But a few years back, it was in New Orleans. For those of you who've ever seen the convention center in New Orleans, it is massive. It extends for almost 3/4 of a mile. multiple stories, lovely building, cobblestone, brick sidewalks all around it. When we got there on the first day, I noticed there was a row, and normally, just so you know, normally between 4,000 and 8,000 people attend every GA. And of those, probably 500 to 700 are actually handicapped, disabled in one way or another. When we got there, I looked. There was a row of mobility scooters that you could rent if you knew to do it in advance. There were 8 of them. They were gone within the first half an hour of GA. There were only 2 that had been made available for somebody who hadn't reserved it in advance. Most people did not realize they were a thing. On the second day of General Assembly, we realized that anybody in a wheelchair or a scooter or using a walker could not open the restroom outer doors, which were so heavy that even an able-bodied person had to pull on them. So a group of folks were running around all the areas where the convention was, putting door stoppers under the outer restroom doors, which was lovely until we realized that other people were going behind them and kicking the doorstops out, thinking that it was a cleaning thing that had just been left in place. So for the entirety of GA, people were circling, trying to keep doorstops. Otherwise, anybody on a scooter, which there were many who had brought their own, or in a wheelchair, had to come get help to go to the bathroom. Hearing accessible equipment was available that had been advertised. You had to call and request it. On the first day of GA, people requesting it were told, oh, it did not make it to this desk. It's at the Human Resources desk. And when asked where the Human Resources desk was, it was at the other end of the convention center and down a level. We're not always good at this, despite our best and deepest intentions. We're not always good at this. We've all heard ADA compliant and handicapped friendly and fully accessible, and a lot of our churches put those things everywhere. On our websites and our brochures, we put them on event announcements. And we say it with confidence because it sounds very reassuring. You can come here. We have thought about you and you will be welcome. ADA compliant means that the building has met the minimum requirements of the law. We are ADA compliant all over this campus. It's awesome. Some churches are not. Handicapped friendly means that someone will help you if you need it. Often they have a team designed to help you, and that's wonderful. And fully accessible tends to mean that everybody can come, but participating and getting in the building and doing all the things may require a little work. Now, some of you may realize that I am deaf. I wear hearing aids. I read lips. My dad is deaf. My grandson is deaf. I'm used to this drill. I can hear a little. Nancy obviously uses a wheelchair. A few weeks ago, we went to Chicago for Meadville Lombard's theological school graduation. Now, this is one of 2 UU seminaries in America, in the world. They're teaching the next generation how to do this. You'd think we'd be good at it. And First U in Chicago has been around for well over 150 years. It's a very large, very old building, so I checked the website. I've been in that building before, but I wanted to check. They had hearing assistance units and an elevator to get you to the reception in the chapel, which is 5 large steps up. It was a lovely service. There were no hearing assistance units available. Nobody quite knew where they were. There was no ASL interpreter. And when the service was over, we asked politely one of the docents, "Where is the elevator?" Well, they didn't know. I thought, how do you lose a whole elevator? But that's okay. Nobody from the school knew. They've been doing graduations in this building for the full existence of the school. Nobody knew. And they were very helpful. They really, really were very helpful. And after about 10 minutes, somebody found the choir director who actually worked at the church, and he was so kind. That lovely young man was wonderful. He said, oh, the elevator had a terminal accident a long time ago. It's been broke for quite a while. He took us out the front door and across the sidewalk and up the side and in through another door off the ramp and through the maze of the building where I noted there was not a single sign directing you back toward the body of the church or the chapel. And when we got there, the tables had been placed so closely together that once you got locked in place in a wheelchair, you were trapped forever. This isn't to knock them. They tried amazingly. It's to let you know that even the best of the best, even the top of our denomination, is struggling with what it means to be accessible, truly accessible. A building can meet legal standards and still be hard to navigate. We know that. Every Sunday we have a black mat over the track for our big sliding glass doors out there because wheelchair legs or wheels get stuck in it if they hit it the wrong way and you can't get the wheelchair over it. But we are trying to be accessible, so we went and got a heavy, heavy mat so that people can get in without having to ask for help. Here's the heart of what I want us to think about today. If a disabled person has to ask for help to do something that everybody else can do independently, and that they could do independently with a few small modifications, then that thing is not accessible. Help can be loving and gratefully received. Human beings are independent little cusses, but we all need help sometimes. Not knocking help. But assistance is not the same as access. If we find something that constantly requires assistance, we need to start having a conversation about how can we turn it into a point of access. And accessibility means that a person should not have to announce their disability or explain their needs or locate the right choir director. They shouldn't have to wait for assistance and hope that the necessary arrangements can be made. Accessibility means the way is clear. The door is unlocked and it's not hidden behind the dumpster on a weird side ramp. The signs are visible. The information is accurate and available, and people can participate without having to ask permission. Because asking for help is not always simple. Every request means that somebody has to tell you something about themselves that they might not want to. I love our church because when I said, I need fans up here, I have to stay cooler. Fans were provided. Not one person said to me, well, why would you need to be cooler? I didn't have to reveal one word of my medical diagnosis to anyone because we're trying to be good at this. And like I said, I'm pretty proud of us. We try pretty hard. People in our denomination and in our world sometimes don't get treated that well. You know that. Can't you manage just this once? Do you really need that? Nobody else has ever complained. I love this one. We would have prepared if you had told us earlier that you were coming. We don't usually do it that way. Or my very favorite, can't someone just come with you? They all put the burden back on the handicapped person. Instead of asking why the environment was not designed to include them, we ask them to explain why they can't adapt to the environment. And people with disabilities adapt to the environment all the time. How many in this room look to see if there is parking that is easily accessible when you go somewhere new? Anybody? See a lot of folks. People ask, is the entrance level, is the door wide enough to accommodate a wheelchair? Is there an elevator? Does the elevator actually work? Is there accessible seating, or am I going to have to sit way on one side or the other, or worse, in the front row? I actually saw one church that had all the wheelchair seating right up front. It was terrifying. People go to a class and ask things like, will the speaker use a microphone? Can I get into the bathroom? Is there going to be anything that has lights flashing that will trigger me? For most of us, we get to an event just thinking about, I wonder if I'm going to have fun. Others have to ask, I wonder if I can get in. Accessibility means so much more than just wheelchairs and ramps. It means things like heavy rails for unsteady legs and hands. It means wider turn radiuses so that somebody in a wheelchair can get around the corner without having to ask, would you move the first row? It means clear signage and decent lighting. A variety of seating with and without arms. It means allowing people to stand or sit or move or leave the room without making it a thing. It could mean providing a quiet space for people who are on the autism spectrum but still want to listen like we do with our lanai. It is a way of thinking, not just a group of actions. It's the practice of asking when we make plans who might be excluded by the way we're doing this, and not asking that question after we've boo-booed. Not asking when someone complains or gets there and can't get through the door. And this is where the moral work begins. It's not merely will we help someone who asks, it's why did they have to ask? Why didn't we think about it up front? These questions can be uncomfortable. We never want to feel like we're excluding people. But an open door is not useful if somebody can't reach it. And accessibility is one of the ways that we make love physical. Love becomes planning. Disabled people aren't inspirations, they're us. They're normal folks who want to do all the stuff everybody else wants to do. They offer ministry, they create community, they're parts of the congregation and the world. We all know that vision changes and hearing changes and energy changes, memory changes and illness happens, and we all want to keep coming. Access is not some kind of charitable gift we give. It's something that we owe people. And there's all kinds of ways to make the world more accessible. What matters is we start asking the questions. Access is never wasted. And we want to change every system so the next person won't have to ask. A loving community helps the person in front of them, but a just community removes the barrier behind them. We should always help when we get asked. We should offer assistance without being condescending. We should ask before touching a person or a wheelchair or a walker. We should listen to people when they tell us what they need. And again, we're pretty good at this. But we don't get to pat ourselves on the back much. We get to remember that we're doing what we should have done all along. Because the goal is not to be better at carrying people up the stairs. The goal is to make sure nobody has to be carried. The goal is belonging. And as we start conversations about, do we want a new building, a social hall? This has got to be a part of that. And not just for ourselves, not just because we're all not 50 anymore. We want to make sure we all can get in the door and enjoy what's happening. But we also want to make sure that whoever comes after us can come in too. We just added our wonderful electric door openers. We are trying to get this right every day. I couldn't be prouder. And this is an ongoing relationship. Continuing practice of listening and noticing and learning and changing, and we will screw up at times. We're going to overlook things and miss stuff. But we can keep getting better, and we can keep asking folks with disabilities, what do we still need? Because a truly welcoming community doesn't say, tell us if you need help. It says, we have tried our best. Tell us what barriers remain, and we will work with you to remove them. That is more than hospitality. That is justice. That is love made visible. And that's the difference between saying everyone is welcome and building a place where everyone can actually come in. So may we continue to be such a place. May our doors be more than open. May they be reachable. May our welcome be more than warm. May it be usable. May our community be more than willing to help. May it be committed to removing the need to ask. And may every person who comes among us know through our words and our actions and through the shape of our spaces, you were expected and you were considered and you belong here. Amen. May the light we carry from this place help us to notice barriers, to listen without defensiveness, and to continue to build communities where access is expected and not requested. This flame may be gone from our sight, but its work continues in us. Please rise in body or spirit as you will and join in singing our closing hymn this week, number 1018, Come and Go With Me, verses 1, 2, and 3. Come and go with me. become practical, our justice become visible, and our doors always be truly open. Go in courage, go in compassion, go committed to making room for everyone. Peace, ashe, and may it be so.